This example is going to talk you through some more exception handling. I am going to use one of my favorite math equations, the quadratic formula. And so if we execute this program, it is going to ask us for the integer values for a, b, and c in the quadratic formula. So I could enter 1, 8, and 15, and it produces a couple of roots. I know there's supposed to be 2 roots because it gives me a positive discriminant. If we execute the program again, however, and I enter 0 for a and some other values for b and c, the program is going to crash. I get a format exception error. And so this is what we want to eliminate and reduce, get rid of, because this is a bad thing. We don't want to have our code stop executing or throw an error like this because it crashes. And I also saw one typo here. This should be enter A. Alright, so how do we do that? When you want to handle an exception like this, I'm going to stop debugging first of all. We are going to take and put our code into what's called a try-catch block. And so that's going to occur whenever we want to not prevent, but we want to check the input from the user. So I'm wanting to check this value that's entered by A, the value entered by B, and the value entered by C to see if they entered a number. The 0 actually would have worked, but then the calculations wouldn't have calculated correctly. So let me try this again. If I enter 0, 7, and I'm just entering some numbers, that actually works, but we also get these kind of weird numbers here. And so we did not get a format exception that time. So that's a different type of error that we're also going to take a look at fixing. The format exception occurs when we enter bad data. Like if I enter, or somebody says, I enter the number 1, or I type in a word, or I enter something besides a number, that's when we get that format exception. And so that's what we're going to be working on fixing. Okay? So how do we do that? We are going to use what's called a try-catch block. So I'm going to give my prompt, that's my prompt here from the user, enter A, and then immediately after that I'm going to type try, curly brace, press enter, and it sets up that try-catch block. The piece of code that I want to try to error trap for or prevent mistakes goes inside the try block, and then I type the word catch and do beginning curly brace, and it gives me an ending curly brace. And then what goes inside the catch block is a message that we want to have printed when we have bad data. And so it might be something like console. And if you use your IntelliSense, you can hit tab, dot, right line, tab, and just say bad data for A. And that's going to give us an error message. The other thing that we also do when we catch is we usually have an argument here that we put in and catch the error, and then we want to print that error. And so that argument is usually E, and we do something like console dot right line, and we do E. There's a built-in dot message. Oopsie. That put in else instead of E, and we also have to identify that the E is what we call an exception message. So exception, E, and then that will print a message for us when we execute this. Let's go ahead and try it and enter some bad data for A. You can hit F5 to automatically execute your code. And it's going to ask us to input A. I'll type in the number 1, and then it says BD data for A. I have to fix that. And then enter B. Now it doesn't prevent the rest of the code from running, and then we get some weird answers here. So we'll have to fix those, but let's go ahead and fix what we got. My typo here. Alright, so that's the idea. Now, that took a little bit of time to do, and it takes a little bit of finagling. So, this is often done frequently, and so there are some shortcuts that we can take. So if I highlight the line of code that I want to put my try-catch block in, I can